listen, really listen, to the way the lights buzz. It isn't electricity, it's counting. You go to hospitals because they promise endings you can trust. A discharge, a bed, a signed sheet. In this place, the promises are inventory. The forms are maps. The signatures are receipts. And you become the thing you signed for. They put me on a drip and told me to rest. Rest is how they take the edges of you. Rest is how the wards learn the shape of your breathing. While you sleep, someone catalogs the small things. The scar over your thumb, the way your left knee clicks, which side you prefer to sleep on. Those details become coordinates. They are not for your treatment. They are for reclamation. You will hear names called on the intercom. Nurses, patients, visitors. The PA repeats them again and again, softer each cycle, until the syllables fold inward and stop meaning anything. When they call your name and you answer, be careful what you say back. If you say here too quickly, it means you agree to be noticed. If you say nothing, they will call again until the voice on the speaker becomes yours. The staff smile like someone who's practiced sympathy for generations. Their lips are slow, scripted. They understand your chart better than you do. They will know the frequency of your pacemaker before you do. They will know what you dream of. Sometimes they will describe your childhood to you in the corridor, like a teacher. You always tied your left shoe first, a nurse said to me once, and I believed her because I could not remember the other way. Memory is a soft thing here. It frays. The hospital will tease the threads until they come apart. Do not let them wheel you through the surgical wing without watching the ceiling tiles. The tiles here move when you blink, little panels shifting like lids on a mouth. In the operating recovery rooms, there is a sound like dry clapping, like gloved hands applauding sleep away. You may be told you've had a simple procedure. The paperwork will say routine, but routine is the grammar of taking. If you are brought to the psych floor, avoid the windowless group rooms that smell faintly of citrus and bleach. They will ask you to describe a childhood memory. You will oblige because it feels like a test. They will nod and write down the colors. Later, in your bed, you will realize you do not remember your mother's face anymore. Instead, you remember a photograph on the nurse's station. A woman with eyes exactly like yours, smiling behind a clipboard. These photographs are how they rebuild people who don't want to leave. They print likenesses from the things you let them know and hang them up to learn a face. There is a quiet policy. Certain patients are processed after midnight. You hear it in the carts, the wheeling of metal drawers, the soft clink of instruments wrapped, the shush of paper as it is folded into neat stacks. Paperwork does not only record death here. Paperwork creates assembly instructions. If you wake to someone placing a thin white wristband on your arm that is not the hospital's, do not call security. Security is on the other side. You must time your breathing, wait until the walker's wheels squeak 3 times, then slip out when the corridor yawns and looks empty. Leave without claiming anything from the nurse's station. People vanish in ways everyone forgives. They were discharged, a relative will say. They went home. And sometimes they did go home. Sometimes they walked out into sun and smell and friends and were fine. But some of them went into the basement. They were moved to inventory. In inventory, they are laid on gurneys and cataloged like mattresses. Their soft answers are recorded and played back to incoming families like proof of life. A voice saying, "I'm okay," that echoes from a tablet screen while the person who made the sound never leaves the building again. If by chance you peek into the basement windows at 2 in the morning, you will see rows of faces reflected in polished stainless. The same faces subtly different, thinner, brighter-eyed, mouths forming words too familiar. They are the ones who volunteer to stay. Volunteering is the polite word for it. They sign an extra form that looks like a receipt. It says, "Acknowledged." After signing, they come back upstairs as nurses in squeaky shoes, bright name tags, and too sure smiles. Watch their hands. If they do not fidget when you cry, they are cataloged. They exchange parts quietly. Surgeons on night rotation will remove something small, a patch of skin, a freckle, a tone, and a laugh, and hand it to the house. The house stores these things in locked linen closets, labeled in handwriting that is not human. Towels that absorb the last breath of a patient are placed out like offerings. A face becomes an ID badge. A laugh becomes an alarm tone. You will notice the same people in different rooms with the same mannerisms, and for a moment you will be flattered, until you realize your neighbor has never had surgery, yet can now describe the exact sound your mother made when she closed the back door. The worst is the recovery ward's mirror wall. It faces the beds and is always fog from someone's breath that wasn't there moments before. When you awake and try to see yourself, the mirror shows you as you were on your best day. Not the swollen, immobile you in the bed, the other you, thin and angry, the one who used to run. The mirror smiles at you with your smile, and then deliberately it turns away. And in that hinge of motion, your memory of your own name slips like a loose tooth. You try it, say your name out loud, and the reflection mouths it back, slightly slower, as if practicing. Family visit hours are a ceremony. They bring photographs, casseroles, false cheer. Visitors sometimes leave with a thin film on their hands that clings like fine dust. Wash it off and it tastes like metal. Eat it and you learn a recipe you never knew your grandmother taught you. Some families get every beloved back. Some come home with changed children who never blink at night. Some of you will look at the clock and believe the time says what it does not. The hospital will reassign birthdays on charts. A nurse will tell you gently, "You were born in June," and the calendar on the wall will flip to June like a puppet. You look at the calendar and then at your mother's face on the visitor tablet, and for the first time you wonder whether she wore that dress the year you were born, and then you cannot remember which year you were born. If you want to leave permanently, don't sign anything they hand you, foil the forms, tear them in two, and swallow a piece. They will not let you out if your signature is whole. If you run during a shift change when the night staff exchange their faces like uniforms. Run into daylight and do not look back, but know this. The hospital remembers you have been there. It will learn how you breathe in sunlight. It will begin to hum outside your window some nights, a high, thin sound like a monitor seeking a lead. I am broadcasting because I escaped. They thought I was one of the ones who accepted inventory, who smiled at visiting relatives with scripted warmth. I walked past an empty nurse's station and found a closet of old name tags and a stack of printed memos. Assign limbs to loss. Reattach scents when ready. I ran with those memos tucked into my shirt like contraband. I left with someone else's scribbled discharge paper in my hand and did not dare look at it until I was 3 blocks away. On it, my name sat unfamiliar, and the handwriting that had been mine looked like an imitation. Listen to the buzz tonight. If you find yourself next to a white bed, awake enough to sign, refuse the paper. Say no, even if your throat reminds you of the syrup they use to wash down pills. Repeat your birth name until you are hoarse. Call a friend's name from memory and demand they answer. Demand proof of the life you remember. Demand blood that looks like what you bled as a child. Keep your scars visible. Count them aloud in the ward at midnight. If you think the hospital is a refuge, reconsider. If you have to go, go with witnesses who can drag you screaming into the car. If you are coerced to rest, do not sleep. If they offer you a bracelet with a second band, tear it off and keep it. If they tell you a nurse is on the way, look at her hands. If they tell you everything will be all right, take that as a threat, not a promise. The night staff change the faces of rooms like rooms change curtains. They are efficient, they are patient, they do not mind. The light buzzes again. I hear a cart in the corridor. Metal on tile, the soft chime of a name being echoed down a long pipe. I must move this signal while it's still raw. I have taped this recording to an old pager and fed it into any open speaker I could. If you are in a hospital tonight, do not lie down. Because the hospital is hungry and it is very good at making you believe it fed you already.